Hey everybody, welcome to the Best Family Homestead. You've watched us expose these logs, insulate, do some wiring. You've watched how we do the bag to make our homemade bag for our grout, as well as making our homemade grout recipe. Finally, and I cannot wait. We've been waiting a minute. We are going to start putting the chinking into our cabin, and this has been a long time coming, so I'm going to show you guys exactly how you're going to put the chinking in. It's actually one of the more time consuming of everything we've done, believe it or not, because a lot of it's taken a minute. Well, I'm gonna stop wasting time because I really want to see some chinking up in this old log cabin. Nice thing about having a homemade bag, there we go. There it is. All right. Now we're getting the flow we want. I'm shoving the tip of this bag in here, making sure that it goes in behind the wire. Icing this bag nice and tight. So I'm going to take my trowel here, make sure I'm getting it filled in. Alright guys, so you can see we've got our chinking in. Now if you've got a brand new build log cabin, like I said, you might want to go with the higher end, more expensive stuff. But this is a 194-year-old cabin. They didn't even have trowels, like not metal trowels then. So I actually want the tool marks. Now I'm gonna keep updating y'all because with this being an older recipe, you can see it is sagging a little bit. So I'm going to come back as this sets up and continue. You can see right there where it got a little bit thin. So here where I'll go a little bit more traditional. Add just a little bit here where it got thin over the wire. And I will say guys, we were playing with the bags. Definitely if you're going to use the expanded metal, you're going to use that bag. Because that bag shoves that, the icing bag shoves that, chinking way back into that metal and really helps make it look better. Now where it's starting to come thin is more where it's sagging. So I just need to come up from the bottom. I'm gonna have to do this for the next couple hours so it starts to dry. We're just gonna be coming up and pulling where it's starting to sag and settle. But now, being that this is an old log cabin and I do want to keep it looking fairly traditional, I'm not going to worry about getting this totally smooth. All right? This is very similar probably to what it would have looked like. Actual log cabin from 1827. Honestly, they might have taken a piece of wood, but they would have been shoving it in by hand and just cranking it in there because it wasn't about aesthetics. You know, it was about function. So I want to kind of stick with that and just, you know, I don't mind if there's a few tool marks in it. I don't want it perfectly soft. We're going to seal it up anyway. Now that bag, like this is where the bag will really come in handy when you're chinking. Alright, so these little cracks definitely want, and we want as little, like you can see how I got some, a little bit of it on the log there. Now when you're doing this, I'm actually going to make a smaller bag for this, but if you get some on the wood, I'm not even going to touch that right now. I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to come back and get that off at a later point where, like right through here, if you try and wipe that off, all you're going to do is, like, there's a very good example. If I come right now and try and wipe that off, I'm going to shove that concrete back into that grain, and there's always going to be a spot there. After this dries, I was going to be able to come and kind of hit it with a little brush. It's going to come right off. So same thing with the floor here. Even though we've been stepping on it, concrete's wet, don't try and get it off. You're not going to do anything except make a huge mess. Just leave it on there, let it dry overnight, and at least overnight, and then you'll be able to just take it and scrape it off. It's going to pop right off, not leave any marks. So you notice it's a dark gray right now. I'll be doing an update here in a few minutes, but this is going to dry a much lighter gray. I tell you, like, standing back and looking, I cannot wait to get all this chink. This is going to be pretty phenomenal. But for this video, I just want to show you guys how to do it. And coming up, now that you guys know all the different processes, how to chink one all yourself, we're going to be doing the entire porch in an upcoming video. Okay, so with this being, you know, a DIY mixture, like a more traditional mixture, there's been a couple places where, as it started to sag, it's gotten a little bit thinner than I want. But that's easy. I still got my bag full of chinking here. So, just going back in here and adding it filling in places here where it started to thin out more than I wanted. And now I just take my trowel. Like I said, I'm purposely leaving a lot of tool marks, trying to leave it looking traditional since it is a 200-year-old log cabin. I don't really want it to look perfectly smooth. Picking up where it has started to sag a little bit. So I'll keep you updated as I go. This is going to have to be done a couple more times over the next couple hours here, just to keep there from being a big bulge here at the bottom. But it's starting to set up pretty good. Like, it's getting to the point. Plus it's December, so it's a little bit cooler. It's only about 50 degrees out here. In the summer, you'd be hard pressed to stay ahead of this. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. So as we go, we'll just here in an hour or so, we'll show you guys the finished product. All right, so this is done pretty nice. Like, it's nice and firm. It's past its sagging stage. You can see there's no big humps down here. So now I'm just kind of smoothing out the last little bit, making it look like I want. You can see where this is starting to dry. So like I was saying, see where that's starting to dry? I don't want to touch too much where it's wet. Let's see how that just wiped off. Like, even here, where it was just a little bit. As long as I let it dry, it's going to come off. Like right here. Don't have to worry about that too much. Now, if I tried to wipe that off when it was wet, it would have let the smear and rub that concrete into the wood and let the mark. But by letting it dry a little bit like that, I don't want to touch that. I'm gonna let that totally dry. Same as the stuff on the porch here. But now y'all know how to, you know, for really pennies on a dollar for what you would buy chinking, make your own recipe and, you know, start to finish. Chink an old log cabin or a new one if you choose to. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure and like, subscribe, and share. And make sure and check out Robert's channel, Watch Your Step. He's been my faithful cameraman throughout this process, as well as doing a lot of heavy lifting for me. So appreciate that. So we'll see you guys next time, and get to show you guys the finished product for the whole front of this porch being chinked and finished.